was having a heart attack, but he didn't know how to express. And being so sick, although he could relate to English, somehow to English, at the moment of stress, he could not. He just kept talking in Portuguese. And they were saying, well, we have to send him to a mental institution. And he didn't need to go to a mental institution. He needed to express what he was going through at that moment. And if we hadn't got there, by the time we got there, he had gone, so we had to go to find him where they sent him, because they said, no, he needed to go to a mental institution. He's completely crazy. So the elderly faces a lot, the Hispanic and other elderly with different language face a lot of problems. So that's another situation that is very challenging, because where you find funding or help for them.
Use of volunteers.
You know, at one time they only give me $5,000 to take care of the elderly in the whole county. And that was a situation that, how I solved that. I only hired an older lady that wanted to work with the elderly, had patience, and she will put volunteer hours. And we will pay her gasoline, and she will visit this elderly at home. But with $5,000, we could not give her a salary. So we use it to reimburse her mileage. But that was about it. And when she got sick, we didn't have anyone to do it. So it becomes a difficult situation to solve.
Meals on Wheels.
Greatest successes in service provision, certainly our food programs. I think Meals on Wheels cannot be underrated. The good thing about Meals is that program has evolved over the last 20, 30 years from kind of dropping food off at the door to you have to make a contact with that person. And what we're finding out now is that it's not so much about the food, although it's important to have the food, but it's more important that that human contact's there. So there's a tremendous success.
Creating consumer-driven services.
You're looking at changing the way doctors perhaps give advice to families and to seniors when a critical incident happens that may lay them low, and say, well, maybe it's time for mom now. Maybe you won't be able to handle this. Maybe that's not such good advice. Maybe that doesn't even take into account what the person really wants. Maybe that's more of a convenience for the children than the parent, or the husband or wife even, or the sister or brother, because maybe they're aging and they have other issues. And then get down to the nurses and the social workers, the people that do assessments on these individuals. The system has been very designed for, we know what you need, we tell you what you need, and we'll assess you and see what box you fit in, and then we'll put you in that box. What long-term care rebalancing about is really about consumer choice, and about saying, we're going to allow you to walk through the grocery store of home and community-based services. Tell us, what you feel like having, what you think you could have. Now that's going to be a balance, because it's not all going to be about them saying, oh, I want that, because maybe you think that's right for you, but maybe a social work assessment or a nursing assessment, just the knowledge base of it and what we know about, would say that's probably not going to work out, or it may only work out for a month or two, but it's not going to work out 6 months from now. So that is a whole, I hate this term, paradigm shift. But I think it's even more than a paradigm shift. It's a total change in perspective. It's going to require a change in curriculum. It's going to require a change in standard operating procedure. It's going to require changing policies. It's going to require legislation. So it's a huge nut to crack, but it's something that we're going to need to do, and something that there's the will of the people for, and there's going to be more people wanting that, because the people coming up underneath boomers, those who are younger than myself, those who are younger than those younger, these are individuals who have made very individualistic decisions for themselves all along their lifespan. So their values on what they want and how they're going to select that are much more personal than the generation that are in nursing homes now, and, if you will, are our grandparents and parents, who are very accepting, much more accepting. So again, that's going to create a tremendous change in the system and a tremendous change in perspective. And I would say not so much on their end, on our end, on the provider end, because we are used to a top-down system, and this is a consumer-driven up system that needs to be supported across the board.
Substance abuse. Use of theory.
Okay, the theories that I employ come from my schooling, whether it be looking at genetics, whether it be looking at maturational, whether it be looking at behavioral, whether it be looking at Maslow's theory or Piaget or Erickson's levels of development, whatever fits, whatever comes to mind. And the thing is, it's not like you're always thinking, well, I'm using Erickson or Ericksonian therapy or his ideas through the stages of life. It just comes because you're trained and you read, and that's really what comes to mind. Freud, whether it be ego, id, superego, whatever theory comes to mind that will work for this individual or this group, I'm going to use it. And it's based on learning in college.
I'd have to say I rely on the